This guy up here making waves in the past couple of years, spawning in the top corner of the map, representing Clash Esports. Give it up for the young Italian stallion, REYNOR. And his opponent down here in the bottom, he is the Terror of Korea, the 5th horseman of the Terran apocalypse. Never really missing a beat. As we have down here for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, he is Cure. And you know what? I think Cure has had a very interesting road to where he's been. He actually disappeared for quite a while. Not necessarily disappeared, but there was a big period of time where he just wasn't really at the top of his game from, you know, I think 2014 to like 2016, 2017. But recently, his results have been mirroring some of the greats in history for Terran players, winning back-to-back World TV Cups, which invites only the top-tier players in the world, and getting second place in the King of Battles, and very, very deep runs in both StayAtHome Story Cup and IEM. This guy, REYNOR, kind of just exploding onto the scene, you know? Once he hit 16, he literally took it to every single player in Europe and said, you know what? I want to beat up on Koreans now. And obviously, you know, the Koreans said, no, you can't do that, and started beating up on him a little bit. But for them to beat up on, for them to beat up on him, they had to meet him deep in these tournament runs, and even then, nail biters of series in order to do so. I mean, heck, 2019, Dark only got the chance to beat down on him in the finals of WCS BlizzCon. If REYNOR would have won that, then he would have been the youngest player in history to do so, I believe. So that's just some cool stats about this guy up here, no pun intended. And I mean, if anyone's going to beat him, it's this Cure guy down here, as we do have the Hellions going to be rotating in, coming back to this game. No Reaper to start things off, which can be a little bit interesting, but it does allow you to save up that gas to get up that faster factory, which does mean you will have more Widow Mines, more Medivacs. And by the way, from what it's looking like, I think he is going to be going for the Dream patented throw everything in the kitchen sink and drop you till you die method here. TM. Yep, we do have that armory coming on down, so he can morph in Hellbats, but that's really just so that these Widow Mines do have that little bit of an extra ability. They are now permanently burrowed once that completes, and so you are going to need some sort of detection, which, by the way, for REYNOR's side, he doesn't have right now. I mean, he's got the Queens, and that's going to help out slightly because he did see this coming in. Now Cure's gonna commit to it. First one of mine does go down before it cleans up. Gets 4 worker kills though, and REYNOR a little bit slow on the pull here. Will be able to get away, but 7 worker kills, and he can just use these over and over and over again. Gets out of there with the Medivac, and will that Spore Crawler finish in time? And we're going to be adding on the Hellions for a little bit of extra damage. He's got the lair down, so he does have that mobile detection, but Spire is on the way. Alright, looks like he got a little bit of a kill right there. It was either an Overlord or a Queen. I'm not 100% sure. But now we see Cure going to be pushing in, dumping the Hellions into their mecha suits. And here we go. The Banelings are done, but you really don't want to be expending too much gas versus this, because you want to have more gas to get those mutas very, very quickly. Oh my goodness, some good splits from Cure as well, going to prevent those Banelings from getting the best connections, meaning that REYNOR will have to overextend a little bit with his larva, get about 14 more lings, and that's just going to slow him down slightly in terms of getting up to that big, scary 80 to 90 drone supply that we see. Now, he was able to deflect it, bear in mind, but again, just small things like that, anything that Cure can do to kind of slow down the economy is going to be very, very important. We see that REYNOR is going to be going up to about 7 mutas, but only 2 additional drones going to be coming down. That is actually a big deal, because he definitely wants a little bit more at this stage in the game. He wants to be about 60 to 70. Viking gets another kill as well. That slows him down slightly. Pretty nice overall from Cure. So now REYNOR hasn't been touched in a while. He's going to go up to that 4th base. Cure's going to be moving out with a small smattering of units, but there will be enough Banelings, and I believe they will have speed by the time that drop gets there. The mutas as well going to get a couple of cheeky pickoffs before retreating, and the creep spread is pretty good as well, just making sure that he has full visual detection of this before it gets close to this location. Scan gonna go down, revealing that this is not the fight that you want to take as Cure, so he will back off. But yeah, it looks like REYNOR is just going to be kind of content to use these lings to push out that creep, reassert himself out on the map, as Cure kind of just bunkering down, building up what he believes to be the perfect army to deal with this. And honestly, he might be right, as those upgrades are pretty late for REYNOR, and so he will be dealing with an upgrade deficit for a while. And usually with Muta Ling Bane, you are a little bit gas starved because of the amount of lings that you need to make. So that infestation pit is going to be a little bit later, which means a little bit of a later hive as well. All small things that you do have to consider here as REYNOR, because if Cure can force you to continuously be trading out these Banelings, that is the worst case situation for you, since he will have those +3 much quicker. And yeah, even right there, saving a good majority of his units is Cure. And those are the kind of things he just needs to do over and over and over again. Why is Cure lowercase? It's triggering me. You know what? I don't think this was played on his home server. I think this was played on EU. So he might feel a little bit small on this server, as sometimes we do when we play on different servers. Good job on the Mutalisks, kind of just keeping some of the reinforcements for Cure at home, but Cure's still going to be pushing out some good splits. A huge Widowmine connection, going to suck up a lot of those Banelings. And now you can kind of see, while he did get that infestation pit, he can't go up to Hive yet. He's got to remake all of those units that he just lost, or risk being overwhelmed by the Terran player. The Ling run by is going to get deflected. One thing to note is that, oh my god. Oh. 6. Okay, that was not as bad as I would thought. If that Thor would have been able to get at least one shot off, I think that would have been even worse. But, you know, from here, we do see Reynor finally feeling safe enough to get up that last tier of unit, which means he will have +3. His +2 is still pretty darn late in this game, as, you know, he's been focusing on getting more and more Banelings. Now Cure is maxed out. He's going to be pushing on multiple fronts. The Widowmine's a little split up. Don't get the best of connections. Gets one of the Mutalisks before getting cleaned up. But this is pretty much a diversion for the next wave. Coming here at the top, is Cure paying attention? It looks like the answer is no. Very late on the pullback here. Gotta save the Thor. That is a very expensive loss there for Cure. Ugh, falling apart a little bit as his army gets cleaned up on both fronts. That Mutaball is just absolutely terrible to see, as he's currently up to 18 Mutas on the field. I don't even think he needs the Ultralisk then. I think these Mutas are enough to kind of win him the game, as long as he doesn't run into a couple Widowmines again. Small Baneling run by is going to be able to break through the wall. Only 5 workers going down. Spending a lot of them on the Marauders in the front, so not the most worthwhile trades for Reynor. Although this does slow down Cure's push just slightly on that 4th base. And currently, yeah, Reynor is maxed out, and he is up a base. Might just want to dive on top of this one. Looks like the answer to that is no. But still, like, what damage to his economy has Reynor really taken? Let's take a look. Just those 7 drones that died in the beginning of the game. So now on 92 workers, all he has to do is pump out Lings and crush through the army. If he can get those efficient trades, he's going to feel perfectly fine. Widowmine's forcing a little bit of a split as we have the main fight coming on in here. 5 more workers going down, but Reynor will be forced back off the edge of creep. Scan going to go down, but does not get the active tumor, so Reynor will be able to re-spread that. The acceleration field, a little bit of a bad point to fight into, as the Muta's going to be coming back in, looking for a little bit more damage. A little bit late on the missile turret pull, so that will not get repaired. And Cure's starting to fall apart a little bit here. His economy is pretty much camped, as 14 more workers going down, forced to bring everything home to defend this. Even might have lost the medevac there if Reynor was paying attention. But now we see a humongous run by coming down towards the 5th base. Although, oh my god, Reynor. Oh my goodness. So he does get the 5th base kill, which is really nice. Cure is going to try and break down the rock so that he can reinforce just a little bit easier. In terms of that army, Cure does have a much larger army supply, 145 to 97. And a lot of that supply as well for REYNOR is over here on this side. The Widow Mines once again cleaning up a lot of that before it gets too much damage. The Marauders in front trying to focus fire down the Ultralisks. The Banelings rolling in, but there is still so much Terran left. And I guess this is why it kind of pays to be a little bit patient in this matchup. You've got to be able to just hit that one strike. One strike will always be better than 1,000. As the Thors cleaning up the rest of the Ultras. That's not a fight you see too often. The rest of the army going to be streamlining their way forward. The reinforcements trying to get picked off, but there is a Widow Mine field to deflect that. And as REYNOR loses that base, he will get a couple of decent pickoffs, but now that the units are brought together, essentially, even this retreat isn't going to look too bad. REYNOR still has the army supply deficit, even though he does have the overall supply lead. But I think Cure can continuously push here and be okay in doing so. Having to pull away the SCVs, though, that's going to slow him down a little bit. I did not actually notice that Cure was running on a big worker deficit, so that means his economy is going to be absolutely trashed. He's relying on mules for the majority of it, I'd imagine. So every unit lost here is actually terrible for him. Battle is ready to begin as this one really starts to kick off. And as Cure drops below 100 supply, it was looking pretty good for him for just a second. But GG is eventually called. And that is why they call him the Italian Stallion. For the long haul, he does a fantastic job there. GG is such a relief, I bet, in that kind of game. As we hop into our next Stream Raiders battle. This one's going to be a little bit of a tricky one here as we spawn right on top of these enemy units. Look at those giant spiders. Looks like Neo and Zogger and ascorbic acid going to lead the front. We still got to be careful about this siege tower, though. That is a level 1 siege tower. Giant troll. I don't know what that's going to do for us, but here we go. So the fight on the left flank is going okay. Looks like we are going to get cleaned up a little bit there. A good Wilhelm scream will bring the end to that tower. Not the biggest of issues as our giant orc friend does go down. The reinforcements on the left side enough to finish cleansing the land of this orcish filth. Taking a look at who did what. Mark the Human Bard. Let's see. I think you deserve a little bit of extra gold. Bards like gold, don't they? So you are going to get some gold. And let's see. Who else did some good stuff? Looks like Core. Yeah, getting those 2 kills. How about you have a couple of extra barbarians to help build your army out? Looks like we earned a bomber as well, so let's hop into our next battle here. You know what? We got to go for gold, guys. There is no way we can do an easy fight now. We are making our way through this one. And usually I put a little bit of a Astrea flag bearer down, but I think this time I'm going to throw down a gold mystic and then throw him down next. RNS Javi beating me to it. And Enemies are going to be revealed over time, so don't worry if you don't see any. This is not a blank map. But speaking of blank maps, we do have Pillars of Gold coming up. A fresh battlefield as we get back into StarCraft 2. Get it all set up. Good to go. Good to go. Introducing, spawning in the top right position of Pillars of Gold. Give it up for Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. And his opponent down here in the bottom, up one game, looking to close out this series. He is REYNOR. So nothing too crazy going to go on. Do have that Overlord just looking for standard Rax positioning. Making sure that he's not going to get proxied in this one, because remember, like, Cure is on his last life. A lot of the time, you will see players just decide to go for these crazy builds in order to try and work their way back into it, because you're not really expecting it as REYNOR. This time, though, we do see Cure going to be skipping once again that Reaper. And, you know, I still like this a lot, because getting that reactor down first does kind of lead you into either 2 racks or just getting an earlier factory up. In this instance, it's going to be a good old 2 racks, the Bane of Zergs of 2016. So with that, let's see what Cure decides to drop down there. That's a factory, getting that extra gas as well. Just going to make sure that he is all good to go. And I think the big thing with 2-1-1, you have to hit that very crisp window and kind of deny as much information as possible out of your opponent. REYNOR really needs to count the number of Marines on the field. Cure doing a pretty good job of kind of just deflecting any curious eyes, showing very few numbers of Marines, as little as humanly necessary. Looks like Marine production has actually stopped, though. That's kind of interesting. Out of Cure. I don't want to call that a mistake, because he does restart them right now, but yeah, that's going to slow down any sort of push that he does decide to do. I'm going to try and hide as many of these Marines as possible, having to reveal them, or his secret is out. He doesn't see that second Vrax, does he? No, he does not. So without seeing that stim coming on down, he's not 100% certain, but just counting the number of Marines kind of tells you that, yeah, this is more than likely going to be that little bit of a timing. And kind of taking a look at it, though, Cure is behind in terms of that unit count. Like, honestly, you don't want to move out before you have 16 Marines, 2 medevacs full. So a little bit worried about that, actually. Especially with the amount of queens are out. I think REYNOR just just went to the market, saw that there was a buy one get 6 free deal on these queens, so he picked up pretty much a whole basket full. As you can see, that is going to be enough to kind of deflect this a little bit, and now the queens are going to be able to re-push back out that creep. They've already cleared up that rock wall, so it's going to be pretty safe versus any follow-up tank push that we have seen a lot of Terran players kind of utilize these days. And now the Baneling nest as well will go down. The upgrade's going to be coming in and layer at a nice, crisp timing. Like I said, that siege tank push, very popular with the Terran players. There are a couple of positions that you can kind of utilize, but REYNOR has covered every single one of those in the purple carpet. Now, we do see that big swell of Lings just getting ready to pick off any sort of reinforcements across the map and just gearing up for this push. Adding on a couple of additional Banelings. He's waiting to strike. Here we go. Maybe now. One good siege tank volley on top of the queens. That's not necessarily the target you want to hit. You want to hit these Banelings, which are coming by and trashing the Marines. And so Kiora forced all the way back, losing both of the siege tanks. His reinforcements are going to save this push a little bit. But, I mean, now REYNOR is feeling very good here. Even has the potential to kind of just drone up, even adds that extra Evo chamber for more upgrades. Ooh, that was a bit unfortunate. Kiora not paying attention fully there, losing a lot of those Marines. I mean, this guy can't catch a break. I think this is one of the servers that really crushes him in terms of that ping disadvantage. I believe for this one they would play on US West or Central. And yeah, that's like 200-300 ping for both of these guys, so you can kind of see those small mistakes starting to add up as this push not going to be very powerful. 60 to 66. He's going to need some absolutely god tier siege tank shots. And with the surround that REYNOR is setting up, I don't know if that's going to be 100% possible. Yeah, Liberator's not even going to really be able to target what they can. The hot pickup coming in. But as you can kind of see, REYNOR crushing through the Terran's defenses. He will win the series. GG is called.